Hey guys, Hooper Hero is back with another episode. So today we are going to be talking about ball python care. Now, I don't have a ball python, so I don't know all of the ins and outs, all the little secrets, all that stuff. But I do have enough. I've done my research. I have it right over here off side of the screen, so you guys can learn about it with me. So that's what we're going to be doing today. First of all, ball pythons are native to Central and Western Africa, which means they do like a little bit hotter temperatures, and they do grow to be pretty big too. So eventually you may want them to be in a 40-gallon tank. I know people who have kept them in 20-gallon longs, which, I mean, if your snake isn't getting too big, like males get 2 to 3 feet, females get 3 to 5. So if you have a male, you might be able to keep it in a little tank like that. But if you have a female, I think you're going to have to put it in a 40-gallon. So ball pythons live about 30 years. There has been one that has been alive for a very long time, and there have been some which are out in the wild that live maybe a year because of the natural predation. But that doesn't mean that yours can't die in captivity either. I know this is a little sad, but it happens. But I mean, if we take great care of our pets, we may get them to live longest in captivity. And at first, whenever you get your juvenile ball python, it will want to be in a 10 or 20-gallon tank. It likes the smaller area that makes them feel safe, that they can ball up and just stay safe. On that note, again, ball pythons are called ball pythons because whenever they don't feel secure or something, they ball up, and that's just mainly what they do. They are slower moving snakes, and they're great first time pets. I know a lot of pet stores like PetSmart and Petco calls them intermediate. They're not so intermediate. They may be intermediate because they need a little more heat and a little more attention sometimes, but other than that, it's pretty much great pets, and I think they're amazing. I want to own one when I get a little bit older and I move out of my family house so I can actually own one, because my parents are only going to let me own Hephaestus, who is my corn snake. If you guys haven't seen him yet, go ahead and check out my other videos. He's in a lot of those. So they do obviously poop, and the way to look for that is you just look through their bedding, whatever it is, just spot clean, make sure they haven't, and if they have, clean it up, and that's about all you have to do until a month. About every month you want to clean everything out, clean the tank, clean the surface, everything. Move that snake out while you're cleaning it, put it in a safe box. So the tank heat on the coolest side should be about 78 to 83 degrees Fahrenheit. It can be a little bit hotter than that and a little bit cooler, but you don't want to get much cooler than 75. The humidity should be just about 50 to 60%, which shouldn't be too much more than your normal home. You may just have to spray it down every once in a while, have the water on the warm side maybe. Just make sure your humidity is up there, especially when they're shedding. You want to get it more so that way they can shed it all off and don't get stuck in shed. I haven't had that problem with this snake, but he's only shed twice, so there's nothing about that. And the warm side should be about 88 to 90 degrees. Again, it can go a little bit lower, a little bit hotter, but nothing more, too much more than that, because you want it to be about the equivalent of what they should be used to. And for substrate, which is their bedding, which will be on the bottom, you will want to use like chips, or you could use paper towels, which I'm using for this tank right now. I love the paper towels because it's an easy cleanup, easy fix, It doesn't look too bad. Like newspaper looks pretty bad, but you can use newspaper if you want to. So you don't have to go so expensive on substrates and beddings. But there's a bunch of alternatives. What I would stick away from is sand and calci sand, and that's in all pet stores. That's just because it's causing impaction, and there's a bunch of videos on that if you want to go check that out. I may be making one soon, but it can cause bad things to happen with the snakes, so you don't want that to happen. Hatchling ball pythons will start off eating frozen, thawed, or at least they should. You should not get a snake that feeds live, and there's a couple reasons to that. A lot of people, like myself, don't like to see live feedings because it's just cruel to a rat or a mouse. It's safer for your snake if you feed frozen thawed, and that is because they won't get scratched up, the mouse won't try to run away and scratch him and all that stuff, so there's less likely to get hurt. Especially if you're getting a scaleless snake, don't feed live. That's just the worst thing for your scaleless to do because it doesn't have those scales to protect it. There's another reason, it can have parasites because it's alive, and you just want to make sure that you're getting, if you have to feed live, like you may have to, your snake may not take frozen thawed, and if you have to feed live, make sure you get it from a reputable breeder. Now they can be feeding on pinky mice or rat pups. They're about the same. Rat pups are said to have more calcium and a little bit better for your snake. However, it has more fattiness in their body, so you want to kind of stay away from that too. You may want to switch every once in a while, like 3 fuzzies, and then a rat pup. But you just want to make sure that your snake doesn't get too accustomed to the rat pups so that it will keep wanting that and keep wanting it and keep wanting it. That being said, it's okay to feed them it once in a while because it gives them the calcium they need and all that stuff. In order to defreeze the mouse, I would suggest putting it in a water bowl, something with a lid to keep it in there. Lukewarm water, not too hot, because if it's hot, it will cook the mouse or rat, and you don't want that to happen. Let's see. You can buy these mice or rats at your local pet store. If it's PetSmart or Petco, they will have it in the freezer section right next to the fish. It'll be at the bottom because the fish stuff will be at the top. Ball pythons have heat pits in their right by their nose, or not nose, they don't have a nose, they smell by their tongue, right by their eyes. Actually, it's right there. You can kind of see it depending on the corn or ball python that you have. I almost said corn snake, but they don't have heat pits anyway. So if the ball python isn't eating the mouse or the rat, you may need to heat it up a little bit more, but try not to cook it, so heat it for like the last 30 seconds or something to make sure that it's nice and warm, and then they will get it. And if they don't get it, try doing that a couple more times, and if not, then just wait till the next week to feed them. Maybe it's winter and they don't eat because they are known to be finicky eaters in the winter, so that can happen. Just be wary of when it happens, if it's happening, do your research, do all that stuff. A lot of people separate their snakes from their habitats when they're feeding. They put them into a different area or box or something. That is to make sure that their snake doesn't associate their tank with feeding, so you don't put your hand in it and you get bit. But I don't always agree with that because a snake is a snake. It's going to eat wherever. It's an opportunistic feeder. As long as you don't smell like mice, you should be fine. And if you handle it regularly, you should be fine. You just have to make sure you handle it so it doesn't get desensitized to humans, because if it does, then it will get snippy. So if you have young children or you are a young child, make sure your parents handle it or you handle it every day, unless it is shedding or it has eaten. After it's eaten, give it 24 to 48 hours. I give my corn snake about 36 hours depending on when I fed him. I feed him at all times of the day just so he knows a meal can be there anytime. But if you want him to be a little bit better, you may want to feed him like right as the sun's going down, so they know right as the sun's going down I may get fed, so that's when you don't put your hand in the tank. Simple enough. About after that, there's not much, just their tank setup, and these snakes are usually generally shy, so if you want an outgoing snake, this may not be the snake for you, but you could teach it to be outgoing by handling it more and more. So the tank setup, like I said, it should be about a 10 to 20 whenever it's really young, and if you have a female, you should be getting a 40-gallon tank eventually. So what you need is at least one hide on the warm side, but I would suggest one hide on the warm side, one hide on the cold side. You need just a little thing of fresh water, and make sure that water is fresh all the time and never cloudy, nothing like that. And if your tank is big, like you get a 40-gallon tank and you're like, oh my gosh, it's really big, it's bigger than I thought it was, so I need to put something in here. You can put some decorations, just don't put too much. Make it pretty simple. I already went over the substrate, and that's about it. Oh, and make sure you have a thermometer and humidity gauge so you do know what is going on in there. Alright, thank you guys for watching. I am Herper Hero. Be sure to check me out on Instagram and Twitter, both at Herper Hero, no spaces, just Herper Hero. Alright, thank you guys for watching. See you guys on the next one.